She thought she was making the smartest move of her life, trading up, as some people call it, walking away from a struggling marriage into the arms of wealth, power, and everything she thought she deserved. But here is the thing about secrets. They have a way of surfacing at the absolute worst possible moment. And when this one came out, it did not just surface. It detonated. Let me take you back to where this all started. Maya had been married to Daniel for 6 years. By most standards, they were a normal couple. Daniel worked remotely as some kind of consultant, always on his laptop, always on calls, but never really talking about what he actually did. He was quiet about money, not secretive in a suspicious way, just private. He paid the bills, they lived comfortably. But Maya had started to feel like she was watching life happen from behind a window. She wanted more. She wanted excitement. She wanted someone who made her feel important. That someone walked into her life in the form of Richard Caldwell. Richard was her boss at the marketing firm where Maya had worked for 3 years. He was polished, drove an insane car, wore watches that cost more than most people's rent, and he had this magnetic confidence that filled every room he walked into. He started paying attention to Maya, complimenting her work, inviting her to client dinners, making her feel like she was part of something bigger. And slowly, what started as professional admiration turned into something else entirely. Now, before you start forming your opinion, let me be clear. This is not a story about judging Maya's choices. This is a story about consequences. Specifically, the kind you never see coming. Maya made her decision. She sat Daniel down one evening and told him she was done. She wanted a divorce. Daniel, to her surprise, was calm. Almost too calm. He asked a few questions, nodded slowly, and said he understood. No explosion, no begging, no breakdown. Just quiet acceptance, which honestly unsettled her more than a fight would have. She pushed the feeling aside and moved forward. Within 2 months, she and Richard were officially together. She moved into his penthouse apartment. She met his friends, attended his events, and started living the life she had convinced herself she was always meant to have. Daniel had signed the divorce papers without a single negotiation. He walked away from their shared assets with barely anything, which, again, should have been a red flag. People who have nothing to lose fight for everything. People who have everything rarely bother. Here is where the story shifts. About 4 months after the divorce was finalized, Richard's company received news of a major corporate acquisition. The holding group that owned the parent company of their marketing firm was restructuring. New leadership was coming in. There was going to be a big introduction meeting with the executive board and the new group CEO, who would essentially be overseeing everything Richard's company operated under. Richard prepped for weeks. He was nervous in a way Maya had never seen. This new figure represented real power, the kind that sat above Richard's level. And Richard, for all his confidence, knew what it meant to be evaluated by someone who could rewrite your entire professional future. The day of the meeting came. Maya was not supposed to be there, but Richard had asked her to come to the building that morning, to pick up some documents from his office while he was in the boardroom. She was waiting in the lobby, completely unbothered. And then the elevator opened, and out walked Daniel. Not casual Daniel. Not the quiet guy in the home office on video calls. This was Daniel in a $5,000 suit, flanked by 2 assistants, carrying himself like someone who had never once doubted his place in any room he entered. Maya's brain genuinely could not process what she was seeing. She thought she was hallucinating. She called his name. He looked at her, smiled in that same calm way he had when she told him she wanted a divorce, nodded politely, and then kept walking toward the boardroom. She grabbed a passing employee and asked who that man was. The answer cracked her world completely open. Daniel was the new group CEO, the man who now sat at the very top of the organizational structure that Richard's entire career depended on. Daniel was not just above Richard. Daniel was the person Richard had been nervously preparing to impress for weeks. The person who could green light or shut down Richard's division with a signature. The person whose approval Richard needed to keep everything he had built. And Maya had just spent the last several months building a life with Richard while being completely unaware that her ex-husband quietly controlled his destiny. Now let us talk about why Daniel never said a word. Because this is the part that reveals everything about who these two people actually were. When investigators and journalists later pieced together the timeline, it became clear that Daniel had been appointed to this role before Maya ever filed for divorce. He had known. He had known for months that a massive restructuring was coming, that he would be stepping into one of the most powerful positions in the industry, that his entire financial and professional trajectory was about to transform in ways most people only dream about. And he said nothing to Maya, not because he was hiding it maliciously, but because he had learned over 6 years of marriage that Maya was not interested in his world. She had never asked what he actually did. She had never pushed past the surface. So he stopped sharing. The irony was suffocating. Maya had left what she thought was a mediocre life. And what she had actually left was a front row seat to one of the most dramatic professional rises in her industry. Now here is what happened next, and this is the part that most people cannot believe. Richard found out the same day, in that boardroom, when Daniel introduced himself to the full team and Richard saw the nameplate and felt the floor drop out from under him. He had been sleeping with his new CEO's ex-wife, the woman who had just left this man 4 months ago, the woman who was currently sitting downstairs in his building's lobby. Richard did not say anything in that meeting. He held it together professionally. But afterward, when he and Maya talked, the dynamic had fundamentally shifted, because now Richard understood something he had not fully considered before. Daniel held his career in his hands, and Daniel was the kind of man who had let his wife walk away without even flinching. That kind of self-control was not weakness. That was a level of composure that came from operating at altitudes Richard had never reached. Did Daniel use his position to punish Richard? Every person who hears this story asks that question. He did not. And that almost made it worse. Daniel evaluated Richard's division on pure merit, made a few restructuring decisions that were entirely business-based, and treated Richard with the same measured professionalism. He extended to everyone. No sabotage, no power plays, no revenge fantasy brought to life. Daniel simply did his job and moved on with his life, which left Maya and Richard in a uniquely uncomfortable position, because without the drama of Daniel falling apart, without the satisfaction of him being the smaller person, they were left to sit with their own choices and what those choices had actually cost. Richard started pulling back. Not immediately, but the relationship that had felt so exciting, so electric, now carried a strange weight. He was building his future under the professional watch of the man Maya had discarded. Every meeting with Daniel was a reminder. Every performance review was a reminder. The relationship that had felt like freedom started to feel like a consequence. Neither of them had been prepared to live with. Maya tried to reach out to Daniel, not to reconcile but to talk, to understand how he had stayed so composed through everything. His response was brief and gracious. He wished her well. He said the past was exactly where it belonged, and that was it. No grand speech, no dramatic confrontation, just a man who had clearly known his own value the entire time and never needed anyone else to confirm it for him. The lesson that cuts deepest here is not about karma or revenge or getting what you deserve. It is about the danger of making permanent decisions based on the surface of things. Maya saw a quiet man and assumed he was a small one. She saw mystery and called it mediocrity. She chased the loudest version of success without ever looking closely at what was already in front of her. Daniel never needed to win anything. He had already been building something extraordinary the whole time. The only difference now was that everyone could finally see it. If this story hit you the same way it hit me the first time I heard it, drop it in the comments, because some lessons are too important to scroll past.